Everybody, welcome to Real Reviews with SOC. Today we're reviewing the second to last. I don't know why I did all that, but we're reviewing the second to last at the. We were supposed to end tonight. This was supposed to be the last one for this season, but I'll say me. I got caught up in the show, and I'll tell you what the show is at the end. That we're gonna do one more real review, but tonight we are gonna have some fun. We're gonna be reviewing the film Die Hard. This is an old school flick. I didn't know how old school it was till I watched it again. I think this is like maybe my second or third time watching it. My third time definitely as an adult. I've seen it two other times. I didn't remember the movie, but finally got to watch it as an adult, and looking at it from a Christian lens is pretty cool. So we're gonna get into that, and at the end of this show, we're gonna answer the question, settle the debate whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Now, what I want you guys to do, and we'll interact with your comments as well, give me reasons why you do not think that Die Hard should be registered as a Christmas movie. So with that said, let's say what's up to a few people in the chat. Oh, it's time for the Revelator. It's time for the Revelator. What's up, man? How you doing, man? He says, hello, everyone. Ready for great investigation. He says, how are you, Nate2D2? Why he got to be singled out? We're all here.
You don't see the
Because I was
rest
in
of
the
us
chat.
not here?
I was in the live chat.
Okay, I was about to say the rest of us is not here.
Man,
Like,
all right.
wow.
All right, we
wow,
gotta
Revelator.
say what's up to Honey Bun. Hey, y'all. What's going on?
Hey, my honey bun.
A16 Apology Assault. Hey, family. What's going
Hey,
on? What's
my
going
niece.
on? She said, I never seen Die Hard.
Wow.
She's also young, so.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
mean,
you get a pass. You get a pass. All right. Adrian Jones, what's going on? He says, good evening, everyone. Richly Redeemed Blessings, fam from Detroit. What's up? He says, a Christmas story. Adrian Jones, you say it's a top 5 Christmas movie. Give me evidence as to why you think Die Hard is a Christmas movie, man. Come on. Is it really? We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, with that said, let's say what's up to my panel. Nate2D2, say what's up to the people, man.
What's up, people? How are you all doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I don't, but I'm Nate2D2.
And all right, Michelle.
Yay.
What's up? Say what's up to the people, man.
hey.
Hey, all right. All right. So BK apologist, you have to say it just like Michelle said it. Can you do it?
Hey.
I didn't think you were gonna do it, bro. Totally shocked.
Hey.
Nate, do me a favor, because you're the master of the clip. Get that clip of BK saying, hey.
Ah, man.
I
you
actually
like
stole
Harvey
it from
Spee-
D New.
Oh, did
That's how
you?
D New say hey.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Honey Bun, she said Bob's Burger says that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't care what Bob Burger
Bob's
said.
Burgers did say that, and Bob's Burgers
Oh, really?
is the best show. Yes.
Apology Assault says, I freaking love your hair. What does TT mean?
I'm her auntie.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
All right.
Oh,
Auntie.
thank
Aw.
you.
Schnookums.
That is my schnookums.
Okay, so I'll start off. Usually what we do here at Real Reviews, we examine film through a Christian lens. We examine the good, the bad, and the ugly and all that good stuff. Do me a favor. Make sure you share this video with as many people as possible. Give this video a thumbs up. Okay, so as we usually do, we begin the show by giving our overall thoughts, what we liked about the movie, what we didn't like in general, and then we get into the details and start breaking things down. So, who wants to go first in giving their overall thoughts? Anybody can go.
Hans Gruber is a legend, and he should be protected at all costs.
Why should he be protected at all costs? That dude's a villain, man. What's going on?
He's a great villain. I mean, he was just so nice and kind. The guy was like, "Hey, just do what you got to do," and he was like, "I'm a man of my word." Now, I'm big on loyalty and keeping your word, and he was loyal to himself. And if he said he's going to do something, he did it. He has my respect.
Okay. You a Gruber fan? That's cool. All right, Nate or BK, overall thoughts of the film?
Yeah, I mean, classic movie. You know, it's not every day when you get to see someone who first becomes a star on television make the transfer to major motion films like Bruce Willis.
Mm-hmm.
It very rarely does it occur. So for him going from moonlighting, I don't know if this was his first movie when he first, from moonlighting, but that he's a TV star. He's
Hmm.
a legit TV star, and the fact that he was able to, become such a huge box office, bonanza is amazing. Great film, a lot of action, a lot of, of course, famous catchphrases comes from here, obviously.
Yippee ki
Easy. It's a family show. It's a family show.
Yippee
And
ki
yeah,
Merry Christmas.
there you go. There you go. And yeah, it's fun. I love watching the old '80s films because you realize how crazy it was and how chauvinistic a lot of these joints were. You're
Yeah.
like, man, they let that fly. Like, wow, that's crazy. But yeah, loved it. Loved it. Classic film.
Awesome. Awesome. Nate 2D2, man. Overall thoughts of Die Hard. What'd you think, man?
Man, I echo everything everyone said. But you know what? Something that struck me was that this film actually looked good. Like it felt like they took the time with shots and angles and pans.
Hmm.
Like I felt like it would look good on a big screen, and they earned their little like their really wide screen with the bars on the top, because I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of times they do that these days, and there's no point to it. Like I sometimes I look at the Marvel films, the on or the series on Disney Plus, and I'm like, I
Uh,
don't know that it needs to be that wide. I don't. I think it's just a trick. But for this film, I was just like, man, that actually it looks good. It looks like you're actually seeing a wide view of things, and you need to. And it's a good film all around. It knew what it needed to be. I think it's ultimately a family film for adults, but it's about family. It's a family film in the sense that it's about a guy trying to get to his family. That's the heart of the film, and he gets. But no, it's man, it was just perfect in everything, the way they executed. They knew what each character needed to be. They knew all the lines that they needed to have, and it looked good. It sounded good. It was well written. It wasn't pretentious. It was really a treat to revisit. Thank you for choosing this.
you're welcome. But this was all of us. Okay. So my overall thoughts of the film, man. Watching it again surprised me. I did not like, back in the day when you watch it, I mean, when I was a kid and I watched that film, I wasn't like, I didn't think anything of it. Watching it again, I agree with you, Nate. They made great use of their camera angles. Um, uh, even the color grading was really well done considering the time. I think if this film, very exact film, was shot today, I don't think there'll be much of a difference other than the upgrade and upscaling of HD and all that stuff. Even the action scenes, the explosions and all those things, they weren't overdone. They were like very necessary. They were very integral to the story. The action sequences weren't just thrown in there randomly, which I like. I like when action sequences have a purpose and not just action for action's sake. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Got to say what's up to Shoddy Mills. What's going on? Our resident 0 stars. What's going on, sis?
She's
God
seen the
bless
movie,
you.
right? Shawty's seen Die Hard.
Shoddy, did you see Die Hard? Because
I
we
know
want
she's
to get
seen. You
we
had
want
to
to
see
get a
Die
real review from you. Good. Okay. I know. The last Boy Scout may come before Die Hard. Oh,
Okay.
maybe we'll do that one day.
Okay.
That'd be dope. Okay. So, with that said, let's get into topic number one. And it is, my friend, the joys of marriage. Let's talk about it because this film really touched on this aspect of husband and wife, the struggles of, being the man or being the woman or being the successful woman in the world, and everything she dealt with in the film. So, for me, one of the things that I truly loved about it was it dealt with this aspect of women in the corporate world and how he wasn't with that. As actually a few of the other characters were kind of like over talking her. One scene in particular that I remember where they kind of materialized her was when the guy said, "Go ahead, show him what I got you. Show him what I got you," as if she's some kind of thing that you can buy. He's like, "Yeah, I got her a Rolex." Now, not only was that a deep cut to her, but it was, of course, a shot at Bruce Willis's character. Is basically saying, "Yeah, we're taking care of her. Oh, we got her." And so to me, it opens up the avenue that, as Christians, in a corporate world, there are going to be things that happen that will cause you to almost lose your cool. Because I'm thinking of it from my perspective. I'm married. If some guy would have said that to me about my wife, there would have been words exchanged. Now I'm not saying I would have went off on him, but I would have let him know his place, because it was extremely disrespectful how he was representing that guy's wife back to Bruce Willis, and how he treated her, as if she was an object. And then one of the other things that kind of stood out for me, and then I don't want to take any more because I know you guys got a whole lot of ideas, and sometimes I step on people's or get into their kitchen, right, Michelle? But the other aspect was the whole taking of the last name. That was one of the things that played throughout the film and how it ended. And we'll talk a little bit about it toward the end of I guess we could talk about it now, but I'll leave it there. It was about her taking his last name or just keeping her name when she was in that corporate world. I like how it touched on that and how that can actually bring a strain in the marriage. But when it comes to marriage, when it comes to the joys of marriage and their relationship, what are your guys' thoughts in the chat? And of course, up here, what are your guys' thoughts about that when it comes to marriage and those aspects that were played out in the film? Anybody?
I just wanted to remind you, Nate and I are single. You
You guys can still talk about marriage. It's in the movie.
You're saying you like, what are the joys of marriage? I'm free. Okay, I'm free from people bothering me and asking me questions.
Wearing a gel. I mean,
well, no, y'all have amazing wives. I mean, y'all okay? Y'all up? Y'all married. Y'all married up. That's all I'm saying. So y'all are good. But what I'm saying is, I'm free. And I'm happy to be free. And as a successful woman in the corporate world who's for the streets, all I'm saying is that, some people might have joy in their marriage and some people may not. If I ever get married, I'm keeping my last name. I'm running around here filing all these papers to take somebody else's last name. I never understood that. It's fine.
Wait. So M'Baku come through? You're not taking M'Baku's last name?
I'm not.
I'm not. Michelle M'Baku.
No, I bet I won't. Bet I won't. I ain't filing all them papers. And then you got to pay for this stuff and filing all these papers.
That's gonna be your name.
No.
Click.
No.
Michelle click Baku.
No. I'm not taking anybody's last name. M'Baku's, Idris Elba's, neither one of them. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. But I understand you have built your career under your name. I don't see why you would have to change it. I know a lot of people feel a certain way about that. I don't feel a certain way about that. My mom kept her last name, and my parents was married for 40 some years. And their marriage is great. I don't know what to say. I ain't taking nobody's last name. If you want to get married and that's what you want to do, hey, it's your decision and your choice is what's best for you. If the joy of marriage, look, if everybody could be like, SOC and Alfredo and how they talk about their wives, I would say yes, the joy of marriage is real. If my parents' marriage could be replicated, yes, it's great. I know how people with my last name are. I'm not marrying nobody with my last name. But if like that could be replicated, yes, I've seen some beautiful marriages. I don't want it. I never wanted to be married. I've been engaged multiple times, and then I'd be like, fam, this ain't for me. I'm probably not the person to discuss the joys of marriage. Now, if you want to talk about a boss out here in the streets, I'm for you. Now, the joys of marriage, I got nothing for you.
Are you done? Are you done?
Still not taking M'Baku's last name. Just know that. And M'Baku could be like, take my last name and it's over. I'm like, fam, then we're not gonna make this work. I got to go. I'm not taking nobody's last name. I worked hard for my last name, like Ike Turner said.
You did not work hard for your last name. You was birthed and they gave it to you. What do you mean you worked hard?
I worked hard for my last name.
Oh my goodness.
My name reigns supreme, baby. A good name is to be had, and mine is a good name. I'm not changing that for somebody else.
Dad, Honey Bun got you, son. She's like, silencing the black woman again, SOC. Wow.
Yeah. Thank you, boo. Thank you. He likes to silence black women. It's okay. And I just complimented how he married up. I'm very confused at SOC shenanigans.
You play shock and totally clueless very well.
Yeah, it's one of her greatest weapons.
I don't know what was going on.
One of her greatest weapons.
Okay.
All right, so I'll go. So, to piggyback off what that particular scene, right? I think the marriage office dynamic can be very treacherous if you don't lay the proper groundwork up front.
Right.
Because for a lot of people, the office is a whole new world, right? And people like to reinvent themselves in the office. You've heard the terms, "Oh, this is my office wife," or my office husband, which is crazy. It's like, no, I have one wife. Thank you very much. You
Yeah.
know,
Plenty.
but I made it. At the office, I make it very clear. Because they'll ask you, "Hey, so you married?" I'm like, "Yes, I am happily married." That's the way I always preface it. I am happily married, so
Hmm.
people know what it is up front. Because when it comes to Christmas time, those office parties, yeah, all of a sudden, all the people that said they were married don't act very married at these Christmas parties.
Uh-oh.
Trust me, I've seen it up close, unfortunately. So, but yeah, you have to have, you carry your significant other wherever you go, even when she's not there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And vice versa. She represents you wherever you go. So it's really important to have that foundation up front early so there's no misunderstandings when it comes to, because eventually you'll meet your spouse's office workers, right? And depending on what foundation has been laid, it could be a very great experience or it could be very awkward, so that's it.
I agree. I agree completely. For me, my wife, she's an interior designer. I remember when we first got together, she had her business and it was named after her last name, which was totally fine with me. I didn't tell her, "Oh, go change your business name to my last." It wasn't none of that. My wife took my last name just out of love. That's all. She just wanted to show love in that way. And it wasn't a bad thing. I think it's basically up to the person and the couple, and whatever decision they make is totally fine. There is no biblical mandate that says if you must taketh, in KJVeth, the last nameth. You can't KJVeth the last nameth. So it's between the spouse and of course their spouse. So for me, it's not a big deal either way. But I did realize that in the office, it was a big thing, and it meant a lot to him. And because they were having that argument in the beginning, about the last name, and how she didn't take it, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And the whole thing was, I think that men need to be better at communicating why they feel that the last name is an important thing to them. And it shouldn't be just because, "Oh, you should just take my last name because." For me, it was important for me that my wife had my last name just because I just felt not an ownership over her or any dominating thing over her, was because I wanted her to just have, like, it's like, to me in my head, is like a part of me is now her, or she's identifying with me now. So it was more along that loving sentiment, not about the dominating sentiment. But I do understand why some guys really are frustrated with it. But I think you just have to have a better way of approaching the whole last name issue. If it's a deal breaker for you, then it's a deal breaker for you. But I don't think it should be. But that's between you and that person. But it was definitely shown in that film that was a big thing for Bruce Willis, because he almost felt, guys can kind of feel, I think, abandoned if the woman just says, "No, I don't want your last name," and doesn't have like a reason, right? She's like, "Oh, I just don't want it." Like it kind of, the guy is going to feel like, well, then you're not trying to identify with me. Now, if she has a reason, all that, then they work it out. But I just think, again, communication is the biggest key in a marriage. Communicate why, and what are those main reasons. Of course, I also want to say family was in the film. Definitely about that. But before I go into that, Nate, your ideas as far as like with a marriage, any of the scenarios stand out to you, or any of what's highlighted for you in the film?
Well, I'm with Michelle. If I ever get married, I'm not changing my last name either. There's just no way about that. But other than that, I'm gonna be upfront. I've never actually even been in a romantic relationship, so I don't know how much I can offer in terms of insight. So a lot of what I might say just maybe coming from naivete. But I will say one thing that I noticed was in the conversation with in the limo on the way from the airport with Argyle. He makes a point where I think he catches John McClane out in that he figured that his wife wouldn't make it in her new venture, and so he was just waiting it out. and hoping that she would end up crawling back to him in New York. And what I think I see there is a sense of complacency in that he knew what he wanted. It didn't seem like he cared to consider why his wife wanted what she wanted, and so he was just holding out for maintaining what he was comfortable in having that New York lifestyle with being the cop and just knowing what he knew and being comfortable with that. And I know that I've considered I've tried to imagine what it would be like to get married, to bond my life with another person, and I've realized that that's easily a trap that I could fall into, where it's like, okay, you're living together now, and it's like I could see how easy it would be to just want things my way and sort of hope that she would assimilate or acclimate to that way, to the way I'm used to living, and not really considering the way how she's used to living, or how she wants to do things. And I think it took time away and a kind of terrorist attack for, I think, him to realize what was important. And so you shouldn't wait to be in that kind of situation to start considering, I think, your wife's desires. Whatever it may be, it may not necessarily be valid. The things that the other spouse wants, whether it's a husband to wife or wife to husband, but I think it's important that you don't dismiss it out of hand. Otherwise, you end up going to be fighting Hans Gruber, and that's not anything anyone wants to do. So that was the moral, one moral of this story.
And culturally, women don't always take their husband's last names. That's more of a Western thing. So throwing that out there.
You hear that, Mr. Fox? Huh? You hear that? She's like, "Nah, fam, she was taking my last." I think, and I'm gonna speak from a married perspective. A lot of people don't realize that when you enter into a relationship, you have to die to yourself a whole lot. Because what ends up happening is you realize that you don't, I think people don't realize how selfish they are until you're married, I think, to some degree. Not saying that you can't realize that without marriage. I'm just saying it highlights it, because you realize that you are used to doing things a certain way. You are used to doing something your way. You think your way is right. You've only had your perspective. But what you begin to realize is the effects that it has on another human being, your decisions. Like, for example, if I wanted to just get up and just hang out with the boys, right? I actually asked my wife, "Hey, listen, do we have anything planned? Did you need me for something?" before I go out and hang out with the guys. Now, of course, if I was single, I wouldn't have to ask that question. I just get up and go. But I have to consider my wife, and my wife considers me as well. Like, if she is going out with her girlfriend, she asks me, "Hey, Jay, did you have anything planned? Are we doing anything? Do you need me for anything? Because this is what I'm planning to do." And that's just a sense of respect, a sense of love and consideration for the next person. And again, in marriage, you have to die to yourself, right? And I just realized that, Nate, you put it up there. You need to die hard to yourself. Well done. Well played. Well played. But yeah, you definitely have to die hard to yourself. And you know what? You realize that, at least for me, in my marriage, I realized that the more I've died to myself, the more I realize that, I guess it's like when you die to yourself, I'm trying to find the right words, but when you die to yourself, you actually discover what it means to love. And that, to me, is one of the big things that I truly enjoy about marriage, is that the things that I want to do, and when I don't do those and I concede, or what they say, compromise, I end up showing love to my wife instead of doing what I want to do, I actually end up having a better time or more fun than I would have if I would have went with my original decision. And that's what you kind of learn. Even in the body of Christ, you learn that the more you give, the more blessed you are when you give, versus wanting to do things just for yourself. At least that's what I've learned.
I like what Phil Fox said.
What'd he say? Let me see.
Nope. Want to hand over them 10 horses? Last name.
My
Ooh-wee.
goodness. I tell you, boy, you just waiting for the chat to just rip you apart, bro. Hey, do me a favor, guys. Make sure you subscribe to Mr. Phil Fox. He won't be active much longer. So make sure you guys show him that love now. Give him his flowers while he's alive.
Oh man.
Because I think I need to have a conversation with my sister about Phil's
Oh,
shenanigans
here
on
we
today.
go.
There we go.
On today, when I'm telling on Sunday when she come in, I'm be like, well, here's a screenshot.
He's fixing it up. He's fixing it. Haha, kidding, fam. It was an honor for my wife to take my name. I was humbled.
Yeah. You made 4 other statements that didn't sound like that
Yeah,
before
too little,
the.
too late, homie.
Don't clean up now.
He fixed it. It's all right.
No. He did not. He did not. Good try, BK. Good try.
Oh man. So listen, guys, in the chat, I want you guys to remember the first question I asked you was, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Now, whether you believe it is or you believe it isn't, make sure you put it in the live chat. Make your arguments now so when we get to the end, we can actually discuss it. Okay, so as far as the marriage concept, the joys of marriage of Die Hard, any other last thoughts before we move on to the second topic?
Nope.
All right. BK, you and I are going to really enjoy this one. Enemies from all sides. I was thinking about you during the movie. I was like, bruh. Okay,
Man.
so this topic right here. So what we're gonna do is kind of, like we like to do here, just give it a little Christian twist. Now, John McClane was fighting enemies from every floor, every angle, no matter where he was. Everybody was trying to just destroy this dude. And when I was watching the film, I thought to myself, I'm like, man, us, who make Christian videos and things like that, we get it from everywhere. We get it from fellow Christians. We get it from people who are not Christian, people from diverse backgrounds, diverse religious groups. And we actually have all of these challenges. Now, one of the things that I learned, or at least it highlighted the film for me, was how he had to adapt during this whole thing. He had to, like, for example, when he took out the first dude, right? He got his gun and so forth and so on. It was like he was evolving. Like when you play a video game and you get these new extra level ups. So he leveled up from being barefoot with no gun to having a gun and still being barefoot. But, either way. But one of the things I found is that as Christians, we have to, in a sense, level up, right? We have to be able to accept the challenges as they come and don't see them as an attack on who you are, even though it may feel personal, but rather view it as an attack on Christ, right? So what you're doing is you're sharing the gospel, and people might reject it. People might fight against you. People who would usually be your friend until you mention the name Jesus, until you say, hey, what you're doing is not Christ-like, or hey, have you heard about Jesus? Then all of a sudden you become the weird friend who always talks about Jesus. You're the Jesus freak. You're the weird dude who's always using that old book to try to live your life. And a lot of us deal with that, especially on the internet. And I pointed out me and Alfredo just because we have YouTube channels. And if you go look at our comment section, you will be highly entertained by how much we are attacked simply by putting out very simple things like, I share my testimony. You ain't no black Hebrew. You know what I mean? You just see the madness come out. But at the same time, those comments, depending how you're feeling, where you are in your walk with Christ, they can either highly affect you or you can brush them off. But it depends how strong your relationship is with Christ is going to determine how you respond to that. So, BK apologist, have you ever felt like you were attacked on all sides while doing your YouTube channel and sharing the gospel?
Let me think. Yes, very much so. But like Mr. McClane, prior to what happened in that complex, this is a trained officer, right? He went through the academy. There's certain things. Now, I don't know if he has any kind of army background, because what he was doing was beyond probably what they teach you in the NYPD,
Yeah.
right? But obviously, there was some kind of training he's had in order for him to survive the ordeals that he was going through. Yeah, Mr. Green, they be wilding, bro, wilding. So, luckily for me, I've been a Christian already for a certain amount of years prior to my entrance into these YouTube streets. So I feel like that helped a lot for me not to catch feelings when people disagree or say the most outrageous things about me, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And it also helps that I'm from Brooklyn. People take shots at you all the time. So he's like, you get used to that as well. And I've also had the luxury of seeing other Christian YouTubers catch it before I even became a YouTuber, like a Vocab Malone,
Mm-hmm.
and just seeing what he goes through. You know, Now of course, with all that being said, once you're in the crossfire, it's crazy still. Even with all the preparation and the maturity and whatever, it's still nuts, right? And it's especially when it's in house. It's one
Right.
thing for the Hebrews and the Hotep to come at you, but when other believers, that's right, Mr. Green, all day, baby, all day. So, but when it comes from other believers, that's when it really bothers me because we're supposed to be in the same team. We're supposed to be working together to save these other people.
Right.
But yet you have this serious issue with me. First of all, practice Matthew 18 with me. If you feel like I'm going off, I'm doing something crazy, inbox me. Don't make a video about me, which has happened. I've had believers come at me on video.
No, not you,
Yes, yes,
my
sir.
brother. Come on.
Won't mention any names, but it's it's crazy. So but again, I knew what I signed up for. So for me, and also it pales in comparison to what our spiritual brothers and sisters go through in these third world countries.
Oh yeah.
My life is not in danger. I'm not being set ablaze because of my beliefs. You know what I mean? Somebody said something stupid on the internet. Okay, well, woe's me. You know what I mean? Who cares? But understanding that as well helps me stay grounded and not allow that to bother me. And we behind the scenes we always joke about it, right? It's funny that people take such they're so angry. Me and Michelle, they really don't like me and Michelle. They be putting us on lists and everything. It's crazy. It's crazy. They have this thing about Afro Latino apologists. Like I don't know. But yeah, I mean that's what it is. I knew I was going into. I knew that there would be blowback, and it's to God's glory. At the end of the day, it's to God's glory. So
Amen. Amen. Yeah. And one of the things we talk about is how if we wanted to, we could retaliate. I mean, we are a bunch of very creative people. And everybody, believe it or not, in the urban apologetic community has a great sense of humor. But one of the things that kind of stood out to me, this is kind of leading into my the next portion, was what the gunman said to your boy, John McClane. He said, "You won't kill me. There are rules for policemen." And that stood out to me highly because I'm like, well, that's true. Because as Christians, we do have a set of rules and a set of standards that we have. So no, we can't sink to your low. And I thought it was interesting how he brought that out. Like, it's like the enemy knows that you can't go past a certain point, when it comes to retaliation or things like that, or name calling and all that. We can't sink to that low. And when he said that in the film, I was like, yo, this is like the perfect saying for us to see that the enemy realizes that. And so I say that to say, because as Christians, it's easy for us to retaliate. We can make posts. We can make, like I said, we're very creative and we have a great sense of humor. But as we know, our job is not to kind of kick back just for ourselves. Our responsibility primarily is to share the gospel with the world, whether believer or unbeliever, because some believers need to hear the gospel as well, and they need to hear the word. Sometimes they were raised the wrong way, or maybe raised up in certain churches that taught things wrong, or they were never held accountable for their actions and their behavior. And so we as Christians, and this is not to say that any of us in this panel are perfect, but what it is to say is that we have a responsibility that we have to hold to, and we represent not ourselves, but Jesus Christ. And yes, as Christians, you're not going to be able to retaliate the same way you maybe used to when you were in the world, or anything like that. But with that, Shotty Mills said, "Not me. I have no sense of humor."
Oh, please, you're hilarious. Stop
while
it.
making a humorous statement. All right,
Stop
so
it.
and Michelle, you look so pretty, Tootie. All right. So Michelle or Nate, when it comes to like enemies on all sides. Now, BK mentioned earlier that Michelle, you sometimes get caught in the crossfire with some stuff. what is your experience, and what do you think as Christians we should do with some of the what some of the issues you've dealt with on the internet? How have you been able to maintain your composure?
I just feel like this. If you can't refute what I said, I really don't care what you say. You can come on there, give all kinds of shenanigans you want. Refute what I said first, and then we can have a conversation. You're like, oh, that you wrong. That's great. Show me how I'm wrong. Give me some kind of anything to interact with you with. Oh, you stupid. That's great. And I don't care about that. But can you refute what I said? At one point, I was called, well, all of us was called mean church girls and religious Karens. And my question to all of them were, that's
That's a
fine.
T-shirt.
Can you refute what we said? You just kind of the male patriarchy. That's great. Refute one point that we said. It's one point. I mean, just refute anything. Because if you can't refute what I said, I have no care or concern about your feelings, about your emotional distress. I don't care about how you going about this. None of that matters to me. I've been put on lists because BK, all kinds of shenanigans. I get it
Gets you
gets
in trouble, huh?
he does because I'm like, how did I get put on any kind of list? And so it's like I get put on lists. I have one video on one of my channels. The video got like 4,000 views. The comments is wow, like they just ridiculous. And so I would go down there and I just be like responding to people because I ain't like BK and Jordan. Let me not hold you. I need to know. That's great, but this is what it actually says. No. Okay, show me your source, because then I'll beat you up with your own source. I don't care nothing about that. Show me your source. I'm beat you up with your source. If you can't refute what I said, I don't care. No, never mind. BK actually has whole videos about him because of his shenanigans in different groups. People literally whole and I've been look. I got video from Kevin Wesley and all kinds of other people. People who are supposed to be Christians have videos. I don't care about none of this stuff. Refute what I said though. Because if you can't, you go and say what you want. Because if you can't deal with the information I put out there, apparently you're not astute enough to even mention my name. So I don't really care. That's where I'm at in life.
Take that.
Take it. All right. Nate, I know you fight on the internet all the time. I'm just messing with you. Have you experienced any of those attacks, when sharing your faith or anything like that? And then if you want to like kind of touch on the topic as far as like him being attacked from all sides in the film, what are your thoughts?
I tell you what, you have to have a really thick skin, I feel like, to do what you guys do. I started going live periodically. I haven't done it recently, but I did start a couple of years ago. And it just you get on, you have fun, and then you see a dislike, and it's like one dislike in your live, and I just start bawling. It's just like, why would you like me? And I mean, after a while, I got used to it, and now whenever I see a dislike, I'm like, hey, vocab, thanks for coming by. But it's I was just thinking about the movie where it's just like, John McClane, once he see what's going down, right? Like he got out, right? He got out, he made his strategic retreat, and he could have easily just waited it out, or maybe try to find a way to contact the authorities, but stay out of Dodge. But he engaged with the enemy. He tried to deal with it. And I feel like that's kind of like what you guys do by putting up your having your YouTube channels and engaging in comment sections and live chats and things like that. Because I generally don't do that. Sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll try to ask a question, and then they'll just come at me, and I'll hide back into my shell because I have no idea what to say. So that's where I'm at right now. But I think what BK was saying about John McClane's training, I think that's important, because that's kind of like what apologetics is, right? You're training to defend yourself. You're training to attack the theology of the false doctrines. Mm-hmm. And that's what, because John McClane had that training, whether he had a military background or it's just as a cop, he knew what to do to survive. He knew what to do to take down his adversary. And I think that's a lot like what you guys do, is you know how to put yourself in there and deal with all the attacks that are coming to you, and you know how to defend yourself. You know how to anticipate the kind of attacks that you're going to get. And so I mean, it's very hard to take you guys down. It's very hard to make you guys die. You guys die very hard. And I
Die hard apologies.
Die hard, die hard apologetic.
apologetics.
Oh, that's a good channel. That's a good channel name. Oh, t-shirt. But yeah, I'm more of the guy like, okay, make the strategic retreat. Maybe take a shot. Oh, they're coming at me with machine guns. Okay, I'm just gonna hide for the rest of the
I'm gonna
time.
push back on you, Nate. I'm gonna push back a little
okay,
bit on
okay,
you on that.
okay.
Because I've seen you from time to time. This is one moment. I'm not gonna say who you did it to, but Nate, you had time and you politely dragged this person for a minute. I'm like, yo, look at Nate giving this person the wow. But you were so polite about it though. You were super polite. You were still Nate, but you was giving this person the business. I was like, oh my, look at
I
this.
did enjoy it. I probably shouldn't have, but I did enjoy
I
it.
enjoyed it.
Said person, it deserved it.
I think I know who you're talking about, but I'm
I
gonna
don't feel
I'm
bad
gonna
at
ask
all.
for.
I
I'm
very
gonna-
much enjoyed it. It was great.
Yeah, well, if I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna do it really politely.
That you did, sir. That you did.
Thank you.
All right, there you
I pride myself in killing people politely, but I'll make one last point because I know what it's like to be attacked also by Christians, people who you think should be your allies and have your back, and you have the character of Al in this movie. Or as I always think of him as Carl Winslow. I'm just gonna call him Carl. I'm just gonna call him Carl. So you have Carl, who has
Right.
John McClane's back, and it's funny having Paul Gleason in this. He felt like he failed as a principal, so he tried to be a cop. It's like basically the same character.
He is the same character. I didn't even think about it until you just said it. He is the same guy.
Yeah, but you have this guy that's higher up, this guy with all the authority, who just like, man, who is this nutcase in the building? And he's probably just like a bartender or something. Not that anything is wrong with bartenders, but you wouldn't necessarily expect a bartender to fight a bunch of terrorists. But so you have Carl that's giving him that's backing him up. I mean, he can't do anything, right? He can't really do anything except say, advocate for him and say this is what he's doing and things like that. And that makes a huge difference, I think. I was recently in a live chat, and another Christian just came in. First thing he said to me was, "Nate, you're a loser." Now, I think he was being facetious, a little bit, though. I think he was trying to tear me down just a bit, at the same time. And I was thinking about it, and a few years ago, even seeing that as a joke, that would have hurt me deeply, and I would have struggled. With that, even if part of me knew rationally that it was just a joke, another part of me would have been hurt and angered, because that's just the way I'm wired. But it didn't bother me. I actually thought it was hilarious, and and I realized it was because I knew that so many people now have my back, and if this person was at all serious, I knew that what this person thought of me, if they actually thought I was a loser, there's so many people that knew that. Well, they don't think I'm a loser. Maybe I am, but there's so many people who who don't think that I'm a loser. They're like my Carl Winslows fighting against the Paul Gleasons, and there's something about that emboldens you to continue. And so I think we all need a Carl Winslow in our life to fight off the Paul Gleasons, because it can be hard when you're by yourself out there against all these enemies. That's what you need. And so I just want to say thank you to all my Carls.
I need
I'm gonna buy you all donuts.
I need the person's name after the chat is over, just so I can have a conversation with them. As family.
Loser.
Yeah.
Nobody calls my brother a loser and get away with it. So I just need to know who it is.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Oh man.
But what's funny too with SOC? I mean, I understand why targets are put on me, because I go in on people. right? I got 5,000 slides for everybody, right? So, and SOC really just he breaks down scripture. He really, he's very pastoral in his way of conveying, and they still come at SOC. Like I've seen memes made about him. People have challenged him to debate. They try to make fun of his book. I'm like, SOC? It's like trying to drown a kitty. Like, what are you doing?
I get
Like
it.
I understand why I catch it. I get it. But not SOC, man. Like, come on.
And I actually agree with you on that one, BK, because I'll be like, he does expository teaching through the Bible, and you mad? Like, you're upset with a person who's doing expository teaching of the Bible. You're upset about exegesis and hermeneutics. You mad at that?
I've never been compared to a kitty in my life, man.
and not even a fierce kitty either. One of
Oh,
those little
wow.
ones with the bow.
There you go. There you go.
But I think the same thing became like literally Jordan is like, I just really want to reach the people, and I want to just make sure everybody gets the gospel
Here we
and all
go.
this other stuff. And I'm like, BK, like, I just want to smoke. And SOC is like, let's teach them the gospel, and I'm going to let you guys know Jesus loves you, and under no uncertain terms that Jesus loves you. And here's what the Bible says in its exegetical form. That's all SOC wants to do, is teach you what the Bible actually says. And I'm like, and y'all mad at SOC? And all he wants to do is
And
teach the Bible.
thank the Lord that he doesn't flame you, because SOC
Man,
is
'cause
very
he could
nice
flame
behind
you.
the scenes.
He could
Oh,
flame you.
man.
Y'all be in trouble.
Lucky,
If SOC wanted to do
lucky.
more than teach that Bible, y'all be in
Lucky.
trouble.
Trust.
Y'all would be in big trouble. But I'm telling you,
Trust.
I be like, I can't, like,
Y'all
again, I can
crazy.
see why BK wants smoke. I can see why you mess with BK. I get it. SOC literally like, let's go over the book of Romans. All the book of Romans.
Right. Facts.
And then he'll have his
Why you
videos.
gotta put the soft voice?
Is there a time in your life where you really felt, I can't have the SOC voice, this close thing of God, that you really felt far away from God? Well, let me give you hope. Like,
And they
y'all
hate
messing
him
with
for
this
it.
dude?
They
Y'all
hate
mad
him
at this
for
dude
it.
for giving you hope and love?
I want to debate you. I'm
How
like,
dare you give me hope? How dare you say Jesus loves me? Why are you mad at him? You mad at an you're mad at expository teaching. I just don't, that part I never understood. I'd be like,
it's weird. It's so weird.
you
It's
messing
so
with
weird.
SOC. His book literally is just going through Galatians and what it means in its proper context. And y'all mad about that? I just be like, you know what? I
This
don't
man never
understand
throws a
it.
shot at anybody.
Nobody.
I want to though.
Oh,
I know
we
you
know,
do.
Sometimes.
we know.
And he'll sit there, he'll be like, and if it's live, he'll go, you know what, amen. I'll consider that. Now I'll be like, nah, fam, you want this word? No, not SOC. He'll be like, no, I'm gonna pray for them when what? Yeah, and they still mad at him. They're like, you mad he gonna pray for you? I don't be getting it. I don't
Yeah.
understand that either. I don't understand why nobody mess with Nate either. Nate is a jokester and is so kind. Again, BK, he asked for it. He be like, I want all the smoke, and I'm gonna show you I want the smoke. And this is what it means in this context, and this how you don't know nothing. No, not SOC. I don't know why they mess with poor SOC.
Oh
I
my
be like,
goodness.
like honestly, Chris and SOC, like I can't understand why anybody messes with them too. The rest of y'all, I get it, because y'all just, especially that Matthew Jackson,
Oh
he
man.
is he wakes
What?
up like
He wakes
violent.
up. Yes. Yes.
Violent. What's the one? The flightless bird. That is him. It's fight or
Oh
flight. I'm
yeah,
a
I'm sure
flightless bird.
that. Yeah.
That is like I can see why they mess with everybody else, but Chris and SOC, I don't understand it. Chris
Now
just
Chris
want
got a little
human
fire in
flourishing.
him. Chris got a little fire. I
Yeah,
can see why
but
Chris.
not even because he gets like human flourishing. And how does all this come together? Human flourishing. Like I guess I be like, I don't get why they mess with them too, but especially not SOC. The drowning kitty thing was perfect.
Oh my goodness, dude. That's gonna become a meme.
With the bow.
With the bow.
With
With
a
the
bow
bow.
on it.
Nice red bow. Yes. Yes.
You gotta use red. Gotta use
A
red.
Christmas
Yep.
kitty.
Christmas. Christmas kitty drowning.
Yo, you guys gotta stop, man. You guys are making memes live right now. Oh my goodness. Okay, listen, man. Y'all gonna stop. But okay, so let's talk about that, right? Because yes, my whole goal is to teach the gospel. I just know how I was when I was, totally deceived. And I know a lot of people out there are, and I don't want them to be how I was. And it was a earth shattering revelation through Christ and the word to see how everything I used to believe in was absolutely false. And it's hard to come back from that. But by God's grace, I was able, by him being merciful to me and teaching me. And so the reason why I am the way I am, I guess, is because I remember, like, I look at them like if it was me, and I'm like, man, I was that ignorant, I was that dumb, I was that blind completely. And so that's kind of like why I teach the way I teach. Again, like we said, if I wanted to, I'm very creative, and I could make it terrible for some. And listen, if you're gonna flame me, be a little bit better with your memes and your editing, because it's terrible. Okay, use Canva. All right, do something. Stop. Okay, I'm done.
There you go. There you go.
All right. There's the kitty, right? Okay. So, but the reason why I want to kind of talk on it, because me and Alfredo, we kind of joke to each other that we are the boring apologists, right? Because everybody out there wants the sensational.
Yep.
They don't necessarily want the truth.
Yep.
And I think that's what makes it hard on, me and Alfredo as far as like being creators and sharing the gospel and wanting the channels to grow to reach more people. And, we know exactly what we can do to make it popular. Just start flaming folks, and all of a sudden 5,000 views on a channel. But if I teach the Bible, 2, you know what I mean? So the thing is, it's hard. So I do want you guys to take the time, pray for, the apologists out there, me, Alfredo, and everybody else, Colin, EJ, Damon Richardson, going out there, teaching the gospel, teaching the word of God correctly is very difficult to do, and sometimes can make you very weary in well-doing. So keep us in your prayers when we go out there and we're sharing the gospel and we're taking the time, because as Alfredo knows, it takes a lot more work to unpack the lies than it does to tell a lie.
Man, listen.
Okay, to debunk something takes time, because we care about truth. And that's why I say people, they cherish the sensational, but they don't cherish the truth. And so our goal as Christian apologists, as going out and sharing the gospel, we are like the John McClanes. We're getting hit, we're getting injured, we're getting beat up, we're walking around barefoot on glass. You know what I mean? But we still keep trucking. And kind of like what you guys were alluding to earlier, you and Nate, Michelle, was this idea of having the support of our brothers and sisters in Christ enables us and gives us the strength to keep moving forward. I have been greatly encouraged. I've had times where I just want to break down and cry, but somebody like Nate might just make me crack up, or BK or Michelle just make me laugh and kind of take me out of that mindset for a while, and then re-encourage me, or share a video. Like, all of that to me encourages me to keep pressing forward. So to everybody out in the body of Christ, make sure you guys support one another. Like, honestly, support one another to the best of your ability. It doesn't have to be financial. Sharing a link, sharing a video, doing anything, pointing people in the direction of good videos is a great encouragement. And anytime we see a good comment, believe you me, that's the one I pay attention to. I get 100 nasty comments, but when I see one person who leaves a comment that's genuine, that's the comment I pay attention to. That's the one I respond to, because that's the person who is actually seeking the Lord. And you want to be there for those people. You don't want to ignore. And I can't respond to everything. I mean, I'm only one human being, but I try my very best to respond to those who are out there. Okay, BK. BK, Michelle, or Nate, any last thoughts as far as enemies from all sides?
Nah, you killed it.
I'm not an apologist.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. We don't believe that. All right. So we're going to continue moving forward. All right. So Michelle's going to like this part. What makes a good villain? What makes a good villain? Now, the reason why I want to talk about what makes a good villain is because it also gives us a peek into the enemy behind the scenes in our Christian walk. So this is what I mean. Hans Gruber was a pretty dope villain in this film because he fulfilled what he said. He did what he said he was going to do. But what made him more wicked, I guess, is the manipulation he had over his hired men and the individuals in that room, using his gravitas or his power, or the way he walked, the way he carried himself. And to me, it kind of points to this idea that the enemy behind the scenes can appear very suave, very cool, very calm and collect, and be very, very violent for the souls of God's children. And so this is kind of like what I want to talk about. So how do we express like in film? And I know BK has talked about it. He's mentioned it a few times, but what are your guys' thoughts on what makes a good villain in like, the MCU, but in all film, what makes it intriguing? Why is a villain intriguing to some respect?
Well, I'll just say what makes um, a good villain is you gotta have some kind of charisma. I mean, how else are you going to rally people behind you and your shenanigans? Did he did?
Oh my goodness.
How else are you going to like rally people behind you? You have to also be able to sell a vision. Now,
Mhm,
regardless if that vision is a good vision or not, you
mhm,
have to be able to sell a vision. Just like we see in the garden, Satan and Jesus have been fasting for in the wilderness, and Jesus have been fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. And here come old Slewfoot like, hey, you turn these stones to bread. So it is
mhm,
written.
mhm,
So he had like a knockoff version. But if you have been fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, it sounds good to turn these stones to bread because at this point, you're at a point of starvation and bread sounds really good to you. Like, I mean,
mhm,
normally bread is just like, yeah, I could do without that. But you have been fasting 40 days and 40 nights. And now all of a sudden, you're selling this vision of something that it sounds like I need it. And I've learned I learned a very long time ago. You can get people to go against their best interest if you know how to sell to them what your vision looks like. Even if it doesn't, we see it with politicians. People literally be like, I'm gonna vote for such and such. And I'm like, have you read their policies? Because I don't think you have. You are not going to fare well under this regime. But I just think if you know how to sell people um something that they're already looking for and you can disguise it, people will go for it. People will literally give up their lives for lies because it sounds good. So you got to have some kind of um, charisma. When I was in 11th grade, I probably shouldn't say this, but my old history teacher said I had the animal magnetism of Hitler and Stalin.
Wow. Wow.
Because I literally used to get people to go against their best interest to do things that I wanted them to do. It's really
Wow.
not that hard, y'all. Is all I'm saying. But but taking that into the Christian realm, when I would go out and do outreach, I
mhm,
would use that same thing to get people to listen to the gospel. And people were interested in the gospel because the presentation was the same one I gave people to get them to do things that they, against their best interest. But this was in people's best interest for them to listen to the gospel. So I think those same traits that we consider like what will make a good villain can also make you an amazing Christian to present the gospel to others. Because again, once I use it for that purpose, I was people will listen. People will want to give their life to Christ and will want to hear more because that same kind of charisma was working. We even see it with people who in the naming and claiming sector, like they're literally lying to people and they got people believing things that are not true because it sounds good to them. And so it's like even though it's not feasible for you to get a $50,000 check in 2 days in the mail, um, you want to believe it so bad you're willing to give your $500 for your rent instead of paying your bills because even though that goes against your best interest, it works for what you want. So I just think you could be a villain and it not be as obvious as Hans Gruber was.
mhm. You make a pretty good point. One of the things that you said kind of is using what you used to use for bad, you can actually use for good. And one of the people that stand out in the scripture for me is Paul, right? Paul was relentless when persecuting the church. But when you saw that he had that same kind of relentlessness for the gospel, you saw how he took that attribute that he used against the church and he used it to push the church forward. And he wasn't afraid, right? Because he wasn't like cowering behind saying, well, let's just see where this goes. He's like, no, we're going to take these Christians and we're going to throw them in jail because no, they're coming against Yahweh. He had the intent of wanting to do the right thing. But once he realized by God's grace, opening his eyes, he saw, wait a minute, I've been going the wrong direction. And then he's like, okay, now I'm going to use that same ferocity that I used before. I'm going to use it for the gospel and to pursue the not only, Jewish believers, but predominantly the Gentile believers, going after a group of individuals that the Jews were fiercely against at the time and joining the family of Yahweh. Um, although they did have proselytes, but as a whole, they viewed them as these lesser human beings almost until they became proselytes. Where Paul was fighting, like, no, I mean, you just read the whole book of Galatians, you see how he kind of pursues them, and he goes out of his way to demonstrate how much he loves them. And I thought that's important. So it definitely lines up with everything that you were saying, Michelle. So great comment, great comment. BK, I know this is something that you harp on all the time on what makes a good villain. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think the best villains are the ones that share similar attributes with the hero,
Hmm.
right? Having a deep conviction on something, being able to inspire, good organizational skills, right? Uh, quick to adapt to different situations, witty, charming, right? All these things are actually good qualities, but
Hmm.
you can use it for horrible reasons. You know, Hans Gruber wanted $640 million in bonds.
Hmm.
Out Outside of how he went about it, the idea of wanting $640 million is a good thing.
Hmm.
There's nothing wrong with wanting millions of dollars. How you go about getting the millions of dollars, that's the issue,
Right.
right? And that's what evil is. All evil is the bootleg $5 Rolex version of good. That's
Right.
all evil is, because evil actually wants things that in itself are actually good. I would like to people to love me, and I would like to be well loved and be able to feed my family. How I go about doing it is the issue, you know. And like a great example is Killmonger, right? He
Yeah.
was a villain, but once in a while he would say something where you're like, well, he's kind of right there.
Hmm.
I could kind of agree, right? Which is scary, right? Because it's like
Right.
he's a bad guy, but he's making points. Now, how he goes about rectifying those points, that's the issue,
Right.
right? So yeah, so the best villains have similar attributes like the hero.
You know, you said something that was pretty cool because, having these similar attributes. And I think one of the things that, we tend to kind of neglect sometimes is a good villain makes you believe that he injects truth into a lie,
Right,
right? It's
right.
kind of like what you were saying. And to me, is like one of the things that I think we need to look out for is that moment where you kind of, when you kick back and you say, I could kind of see his perspective. Like, whoa, no, no, going the wrong direction. But the fact that that opportunity steps in, is kind of like what Satan does, right? He looks for a weak lion or a weak, one of the weak, whatever little creatures, and he goes after that one. And he says, oh, look, what about this? Have you ever considered this? Did you ever think about this perspective? And if they can get that person to say, I didn't consider, you've already put that person in that limbo, right? They're on the fence now. Whereas before they were fine, they were secure on their side. But if you can get a person to question their morality, you can get a person to question God in any way. Now you've got them where you want them. And a lot of it is done by deception. A lot of it is not done, with real critical thinking. It's really done by deception under the illusion of critical thinking, making people think along a certain line. Let me see. Richly Redeemed, he put down here in the chat, he said, The Dark Knight and the Joker. Exactly. That conversation between those two in the interrogation room, you sit there and you like, the Joker has a point. You know what I mean? And to some degree, he is right. But again, how what BK was saying was, how did he go about proving that point and trying to make his will known? Let me see. She says, Honeybun here, she says, a good backstory and actually following through on your plan. Good villains don't show mercy, and good villains stay true to their morals. And that's the thing, right? They're consistent. And so what happens is some people are attracted to the consistency and not necessarily to the message, right? Because they can get wrapped up. Michelle was talking earlier about, Stalin and Hitler and all this stuff. But let's be real. They were passionate and they were consistent with their ideology.
That's right.
Are
That's right.
you as a Christian passionate and consistent with your worldview and as being a Christian and following Christ? You see, people can be attracted. Your hypocrisy as a Christian can really push somebody away from the gospel. And that's why it's so important for us as Christians to be consistent and to make sure that we are good representatives, because our behavior may be the only thing that somebody gets to see when it comes to the gospel or any biblical kind of worldview. So what you do and what you say actually matter. Nate, when it comes to Hans Gruber as the villain, or any thoughts concerning Satan or whatever, what do you think, man? What are your thoughts on that, man?
So as a fan of film and TV shows, I think a good villain can come in many different forms. I mean, I think depending on the type of show or movie it is, you can have that campy kind of mustache twirling villain, and that will be a fun villain, even though it's over the top, and it works for that. But I think for a really good villain, I mean, I like a lot of what you guys were saying. I think PK was saying he shares some of the attributes with the hero or something like that, right? And I think a really good villain is somebody that you could almost, you look at him or her and you can feel almost like you identify with them. And it's just like I'm watching the movie, and he brings John McClane's wife in. I forget her name, but Hans Gruber brings her in, and they're kind of negotiating, having this conversation, and you're watching it, and he's being very reasonable. At least it seems like, apart from the fact that he's holding them all hostage. But he's like, she's talking about this pregnant woman. He's like, well, I can't have you bring her up, but I can have a couch bring down. He's like, okay. And then we need some bathroom breaks. It's like, that's reasonable. And you're kind of like, man, I'm getting a little like Stockholm syndrome here. I want to be one of the hostages there, man. This guy's like almost taking care of them. He's just like, he's very calm, and you're just like, man, I almost kind of like you. It's and it's. I think there's something about that kind of deceptiveness of a villain where they can manipulate you. I mean, the Honey Bun was saying that a villain doesn't show mercy. I think I would kind of push back on that a little bit, in that I think a villain will show mercy if it serves his or her needs, because you can manipulate the person you're showing mercy to by showing them that mercy. You kind of make them think, oh, maybe you're not so bad, or I mean, it's the weird thing, because it's like you're holding them hostage, but you show a little mercy. You can trick some people to thinking it's not even mercy, right? It's not mercy, because you should have let them go in the first place, right? But somehow, like, a bathroom break or a couch could seem like it's mercy, and it's like, no, it's not mercy. But it seems like it's mercy. So you're kind of I think what you said earlier, you're kind of lying with the truth, right? You make them think that you're advocating for them, and you can almost agree with what he's doing, because he's like he's attacking a greedy corporation, apparently, and so he's like, well, I'm just sticking it to the man. They're greedy. They have enough money. I'm just gonna take their money, and apart from the fact that he shot Mr. what's his name, Takagi, I think some people could almost maybe even be okay with what he did, as long as he didn't hurt anybody, and not that you should be okay with what he's doing, but I think the fact that you could identify with him and say, oh, okay, that's this guy's not so bad. He can trick you into thinking that. I think there's something about that kind of villain, and I think also a good villain could be where you could look at him, and I feel like a good protagonist is somebody you can identify with. You can almost see yourself in that position, and so as a protagonist, I think with a good protagonist and with a good antagonist, you should be able to look at the antagonist the way that the protagonist is looking at them. And I think, and so I think a good villain, a really good villain, one aspect of a really good villain, I think it could be, you look at them and you say, but for the grace of God, there go I. Because you could almost see yourself going in that position. That's, again, going back to identifying with that villain. I think that you kind of get that in the villain in Skyfall, where it's like that guy, the guy that I forget his name, played by Javier Bardem. He was almost like Bond. Like, that's what when I was watching that, I was like, that's basically what Bond would be if things had gone differently, I think.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought that was such a great villain as well, because you could almost sympathize with him, you could almost empathize with him. Ultimately, everything he's doing is terrible, but it's like you understand him, and I think that's why that's what makes good villains really so compelling. It's just like, it's not just chaos for the sake of chaos, though sometimes that can be good. I mean, I think you see portrayals of Joker that do that, but there's just something about them that you almost want to be their friend. You almost find yourself catching that Stockholm syndrome, and I think that's the thing. That's the way I think Satan operates. He lies with the truth. He asks questions, and you feel almost you see what appears to be that creature of light, even though really it's a serpent underneath. And I think it's hopefully, when you have a good villain, you see what they, at the end, you see them either getting justice or you see repentance if they earn that. I mean, you don't want a villain just to turn around and repent. I mean, repentance is good in real life, right? We want everyone to repent. I think there's an issue if when we look at somebody who's doing bad things and we're more focused on them getting justice and not wanting them to have repentance. But within a movie, I mean, you kind of have to earn that, I think. And so I think with a good villain, in the end, they should, if they're not repenting in an earned way, they not that you earn repentance, but you earn it with the story, where it's like you understand why they would repent. But if they get justice, you should be happy with, because you understand what the villain is, because ultimately we don't want to identify once our eyes are open, we don't want to identify with a Satan figure. I think a good villain kind of shows you how Satan operates in a way. But I think you like the villain because it's good, because you have a good understanding of what it means to be a villain, but at the same time, as somebody who is not everyone, nobody is beyond. And I think the idea that somebody could be redeemed also, there's something, I think there's a side to that too. If a villain can be redeemed, I think there's something good about that as well, because you identify with them. That means they have the capability of saying, I see what I did wrong. And I think a good villain could be redeemable in that sense as well, where it's they're just because they there is a heart there. And I'm rambling again, so I'm just gonna end it right there.
In Hans Gruber's defense, he did say, "You have to kill me." So, I mean, he wasn't just like going to kill him. He actually told him to kill him. So, in Hans Gruber's defense, because he's a national treasure, he was actually told to do it. He was following orders of the head of the company. So, I'm very he should not be held liable for that.
Wow, really?
Wow. Okay. All right. All
Protect
right. All
Hans
right. All
Gruber.
right.
He's uncancelable. That's all I got.
All right, Michelle's fight for Hans Gruber. You're right. All right. So, I can't say anything after that. I mean, I think Nate did a great job breaking that down. Okay. So, to all of you on the chat, this is your opportunity. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? We are moving on to the fourth and final topic. Can you make your case? I think I can make my case. I think my case is solid. And as Christian apologists, we like to quote primary sources. But I'm going to save my primary source for the end. So, let's talk about a couple of things that would make this a Christmas movie. Just looking at it from the film's perspective alone, just the film, not any outside sources. What can we say makes this a Christmas movie? You guys go ahead. I'll let you guys roll.
Okay, well, I hope I'm not in your kitchen when I say this, but
Don't quote somebody.
I can't. Well, no, but it's the actual movie though. Things in the movie. I'm talking about
Oh yeah,
things in the movie.
in the film. Yeah, you're good. Go for it, man.
All right, so in the film, it takes place during a holiday office party.
Okay.
So
Check.
it's during Christmas time. I don't know if it's actually it's not actually Christmas Day, but it's Christmas season because they have the Christmas holiday office party, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's one.
Okay.
The soundtrack has Christmas songs. It has Winter Wonderland, Let It Snow, Christmas in Hollis, and Ode to Joy, right? And
Uh-huh.
then at the end, it snows.
Okay.
So I'm like, what else do you need? Like, it's happening during Christmas season. They had a Christmas holiday party. They're playing Christmas songs, and when everything is done and the villain loses and the hero wins, we get snow. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I
That
think
seems
that's a compelling case.
that seems like a compelling case. Okay, so you're on the side that this film, Die Hard, is a Christmas movie.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely,
all right,
absolutely,
all right.
100%.
Michelle, is this film a Christian movie from your perspective?
Um, it's not because Christmas is pagan, and because Christmas is a pagan
Oh my
holiday.
God! Can someone put my
This
video
this
link in
movie,
the chat?
this movie,
Please put his video link in the chat. Make
this
sure you guys
movie
drop
can't
the
be
link.
a Christmas movie because Christmas is pagan,
Oh
and
Lord.
y'all just want to worship the tree. Y'all ain't read Jeremiah. Y'all ain't read
Jeremiah
Jeremiah.
10.
That's
Oh
what I'm
man,
saying. Y'all ain't
that
read
scripture's
Jeremiah.
bringing me
Y'all
back.
didn't.
Giving me weird flashbacks.
I mean,
Sis.
tis the
Don't
season for
relapse. Don't
Jeremiah
relapse,
10.
bro. Don't relapse. Don't relapse.
All I'm saying, Jeremiah 10
Don't
is
become
talking about the
Yeshaya. Don't
Christmas
become
tree.
Yeshaya.
Oh, we don't want that.
How
He's
about
talking
Shem
about the
Yahweh
Christmas tree.
Shabbat brothers?
Oh wow, he's back. Oh no.
um, and again, that proves him doing that proves it's not a Christmas movie because here he goes. He knows it's a pagan holiday as well. So
Right.
because Christmas is a pagan holiday, where
Wow.
y'all worshiping the tree, y'all bowing down to the tree, y'all putting ornaments to worship on this tree, y'all got silver and gold on this tree. You worshiping
Oh
this pagan
Lord.
holiday. This ain't got nothing to do with Christians and Jesus. It's a pagan holiday and it's a pagan movie, and therefore it's not a Christmas movie.
Kwam
All
Yashua.
right, all
Go
right.
ahead.
So
Wait. You said it's a Christmas is pagan and this movie is pagan, but it's not a pagan. It's not a Christmas movie.
oh,
No, it's not a
oh,
Christmas
Uh-oh.
movie. It's not a Christmas movie. No.
They-
Because
see,
Christmas is
uh-uh.
pagan. Just
The
because both
puppy.
of them are pagan doesn't mean that
You
they
said the movie
correlate
was
together.
pagan too. You said the movie was
is
pagan too, though.
but
You
it's
said the
not
movie was
Christmas
pagan.
movie. It's still not a Christmas movie.
So it's
They
a different
just
kind of
both happen to
pagan.
be
It's like
pagan.
a different
they
kind of
just
pagan.
happen to both be pagan.
Okay,
The
okay.
Christmas holiday is pagan
They're
because
pagan
y'all
for
worship
different.
the
They're
tree.
both pagan, but for different reasons.
Yes, and then this movie is pagan because Hans Gruber did not win. So that's why these two movies are. This movie is
Wow.
pagan and Christmas is pagan. Two very different reasons. Both
Yeah,
pagan.
mute her mic,
Very,
please.
very,
Mute her
very
mic.
solid
Mute her
case.
mic.
About as solid as a. Okay, so okay, Nate. Are there any reasons you think that this I was gonna say this Christmas movie, but this Die Hard, do you believe is a Christmas movie or you don't believe is a Christmas movie, bro?
So it's been a little while since I've seen this movie. So I came. I'm gonna be honest. I was going into this thinking that I was gonna say that it is a Christmas movie, just because it's me, whether or not based on the evidence. But after having watched this, I have to agree with BK. This is very much a Christmas movie. It's the fact that it's Christmas is not incidental. I mean, you see him coming with a Christmas present for his kids. There's Christmas music playing. I mean, he's in the car with Argyle, and he's like, "Can you play some Christmas music?" And the guy's like, "It is music." So they're still hitting you in the head with the fact that it's the Christmas holiday season. Again, I think BK said this. It's at a Christmas party. You're getting people humming "Ode to Joy." All the villains are humming that, right? The first of the henchmen that gets killed, he gets revealed. I think it's the first one. He gets revealed in the elevator with "Ho ho ho!" Right now, I have a machine gun. Again, Christmas thing, right? The very last song in the movie, it ends. I think, is it "Let It Snow"? I think it was "Let It Snow." I could be wrong, but it was, again, it was a Christmas song, right? And again, BK said it was snowing, and I think, like I said in the beginning, ultimately what I feel this movie is about a man trying to spend time with his family on Christmas. His broken family. And Hans Gruber was upsetting that. That's what it's about. That is the heart of this movie. It's about a family trying to come together for Christmas, and something gets in the way of that. One, it's their own it's their own problems, family problems. But two, it's the terrorist. But then the terrorists make them realize that their family issues are not as a big deal, so they can come together as Christmas. And probably when he goes home, they don't have to make up a spare room because they're still married, and that's still holy. So because I think they're reconciled, and there's I think there's one more thing I could point to that I feel further proves that it's a Christmas movie, but it does involve a quote from outside the movie. So I'll hold that. You can come back to me if you want, but I'll let SOC go.
Okay. All right. So do I think this film is a Christmas movie? Yes. Number one, the wife's name is Holly. Her name is Holly. It happens at a Christmas party. The building is closed on Christmas Day. It could be any other holiday, but hey, Holly, Christmas time, we know it's a Christmas thing. Okay, so if I were to give you guys a reliable source that demonstrably proves that this is a Christmas movie, would you guys believe me, or would you guys fight and rebel for your paganism?
Pagan.
Depends on the source. That's a good point you make there, BK, because the source itself is from the director. Okay. So the director, check this out. The AFI released a special behind-the-scenes video featuring McTiernan, who is the director of the film, talking about how Die Hard became a Christmas movie. The director goes deep in the 12-minute video discussing art history and the concepts of authoritarianism and capitalism, but eventually reveals that, yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie, despite the original intention not being that. He says, other people started to catch on that this was a movie where the hero was a real human being, and the people of authority, all of the important folks, were all portrayed as kind of foolish. Everybody, as they came to work on the movie, began to get that. As I said, this movie is an escape from the Hollywood machine, and there was a joy in it. We hadn't intended it to be a Christmas movie, but the joy that came from it is what turned it into a Christmas movie. It's worth watching the entire video, as McTiernan's explanation is long and incredibly complicated. Still, the essence is this. Yes, it's a Christmas movie that is a repudiation of authoritarianism, as well as the excesses of capitalism. Most fans won't go that deep into the movie's films, themes, and philosophy, except for real reviews, of course, enjoying it for the expletive-laden action romp that it is on the surface. Still, it is fascinating to know that McTiernan thought about the film's themes quite intensely. It's probably why the movie has stood the test of time, remaining an action favorite for over 30 years after its release. The video also means that those who insist Die Hard is a Christmas movie can finally win the debate, citing the director's own words to any doubters, and its vindication for the makers of A Die Hard Christmas, the illustrated holiday classic, a bloody but charming storybook, which turns the movie into a rhyming Christmas story. So there you have it. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. The director himself confirmed it.
Yeah, well, there it is.
You know, there's nothing I can do. The director said it didn't start off as a Christmas movie, but it became a Christmas movie. And that's how stories usually begin, right? You have an idea, but then the idea changes as it begins to, and then you're like, you know what, this is a better direction. And it changed into. So by the director's standard and by his own writing, and he's the one that created the story, it's a Christmas movie.
I mean, it's literally a primary source. He is the primary source. So
it ain't on YouTube. It ain't a primary source.
It is on YouTube. Where are we at? Where are we at?
No, I'm talking about the source. The source ain't on YouTube. Somebody's not screaming that on YouTube, so I can't count that as a source.
Someone got to scream it.
It got to be a meme. There was no meme of this. So I guess I can't go with this. Is pagan.
I'll make a meme.
It's pagan.
Yeah.
I'll make a meme. If I make it a meme, will it be okay?
No, no, because you
So it doesn't
believe that
matter.
it's a Christmas movie. So you are not helpful. You're
there
mocking the
was
fact that
quote.
it's pagan.
I just quoted the director's scripture. That's all.
Mm-mm. Well, no.
That's all I do.
Well, I don't know the director. The director, I don't know the director. Director could be anybody. He don't know he pagan either.
How about this? This sound familiar? Well, I mean, is the director white?
That could be a
Well, then we
problem.
can't trust it. We can't
Well,
trust
It could
it.
be
The director's
there you
Esau.
white.
go.
It could be Esau.
Esau. Wow.
It could be
Wow.
Esau.
Could be Esau. Who knows? Who
Yeah,
knows?
I got
It's
a I
pagan.
got a quick stat here.
Go for it.
It says here, according to a press release from the Dish Network, 1.3 million Americans watched Die Hard on Christmas Eve in 2016. That beat out traditional holiday favorites Home Alone, Miracle on 34th Street, and The Santa Claus.
Mm.
So,
That
the-
shows America likes violence on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
Hey.
Wow.
Hey.
Hey. Okay, sis.
Lethal Weapon is a Christmas movie too. If we're going by this logic.
oh, absolutely, facts.
Okay. Okay. So
Absolutely.
before I go, because there's one more thing I want to say. Nate, what was the quote you had? Was it that quote? The director?
No.
Okay,
It
what was
was
your quote?
so it was from the audio commentary. The production designer himself, he says a lot of people forget that this is a Christmas movie. That's basically, or I'm paraphrasing. He said a lot of people forget this is a Christmas movie. So this is somebody on the production designer acknowledging that it's a
That's a
Christmas movie.
secondary evidence. You got primary, and now we got secondary. We have
Yeah, yeah.
eyewitness accounts.
Because they were talking
Not just the
about putting
director, it's somebody
Christmas
on
light
the
palm trees.
set. Look
Say
at
it again, Nate.
Oh,
Say
so
it
because
again?
he was saying that they were talking about putting Christmas lights on palm trees because it's a Christmas movie. So they were wondering, is that going to be an aesthetic because it's a Christmas movie? So clearly that was the intent.
Well, there you go.
Multiple attestations.
Look,
primary,
primary, secondary, eyewitness
I
accounts.
eyewitness account. I mean,
It's a Christmas movie. I think we've settled it. I mean, there's no other video you need to watch except this one on Real
Pretty much.
Reviews to
Pretty
prove
much.
demonstrably that Die Hard is a Christmas.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Christmas movie, not
Done
a
deal.
Christian movie.
No, it's far from it. But
Far from it, but it is a Christmas movie. So let's see what some of you guys are saying in the chat before we go. Christmas movie. There you go. Got the clap going on. He says until Die Hard 4, unfortunately. Shoddy Mills says it's just not a traditional Christmas movie.
That's
So she
very
agrees
true.
that it's a
Yep.
Christmas movie. Excellent. Adrian Jones, Wikipedia, or Wilkipedia, whichever one you want to say. Precept, we got it. Christmas Vacation is a drama.
oh Lord,
Oh, yeah.
they said Elf is an action movie. Come on,
Come on,
folks.
Elf is a okay.
Come on.
All right. So the one thing I did want to say, if anybody believes that Home Alone is a Christmas movie, then you cannot say that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie because all Home Alone is a kid version of Die Hard. That's it. I mean, the dude is surviving in his house, trying coming up with all these things to keep people out, and what is he doing? He's
Kevin
trying to
is a
catch-
Marxist.
Okay, but it's still a Christmas movie. He could
It's
be
not a
whatever
Christmas
he
movie.
wants
He's
to
a
be.
Marxist.
Uh-oh.
Marxists don't believe in Christmas.
We got this guy named Nate2D2 in the chat. He says Demon Stribly, a Christmas
Demon
movie.
Stribly. That's a good villain name.
I like that. Demon
Demon
Stribly.
Stribly.
Phil Fox. Okay, so am I annoying you? Huh?
Ah.
Am I annoying you, Phil Fox?
Leave the
Okay.
kitty alone, Phil.
Demon
Okay.
Stribly.
Oh, this was supposed to be this was supposed to be our last episode of this season, but because I went ahead and watched Netflix and I got nerdy, and then Damon Richardson goes on Facebook exposing my secret plan to reveal this one real review, then I have to say this is not the last real review of this season. Next week on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be reviewing the film Hellbound. Now, let me tell you guys something. If you haven't seen this on Netflix, you need to prepare yourself. Take some time. It's 6 episodes. 6 pretty long episodes. They're like between 45 minutes to an hour long almost. Very good. This is one of the most theologically dense shows I've seen in a while. Now, there is no way that the Real Reviews team could just let this one slide under the radar. There's way too many questions to answer. There's way too many conversations to be had. So we are going to review the film Hellbound. So make sure you guys go on Netflix and watch this show so you are prepared for next week. I want nothing but questions and thoughts and ideas to pour from your guys' minds, because this, I guarantee you, is going to spark some very interesting conversation. So if I hadn't hyped it enough, go watch it. It's on Netflix, 6 episodes, and you got, from now till next Monday to watch them. So with that said, any final thoughts on the film? Let's go around and give our final thoughts and ultimate 5 stars. BK apologists. I'm not going to give you the umbakus, but the final review, brother.
Right. No, it's classic Christmas action movie, 5 stars.
Whoa, 5 stars. Wow, brother. Wow. Okay. Michelle, how many
Pagan
stars?
action movie for a pagan holiday, 5 stars.
Now, are any of those stars going on top of the Christmas tree?
Apparently, all of them go on top of that pagan Christmas tree. All of them. They're going to make the 5 stars are going to make a little star because they're all pagan anyway.
There you go. All right, Nate too.
And Stephen Tilly know he's Esau, so throwing that out there.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's a joke. It's a joke because that's what they. Our conversation the other day, the guy was like, "Oh, you Esau?" I said, "That's your cousin then if you're Israelite," and he got mad at me. Steve, know he's my boy.
Yeah, he's a cool dude, man. He is. Cool dude. All right, Nate 2D2, man. What is your rating, bro? And your final thoughts?
Okay. Yeah. Before I get to that, just let everyone know Hellbound is a Korean TV show. So unless you understand Korean, don't set aside. Don't think you can multitask. Don't wait to the last minute and think, I'm going to do my laundry and stuff while watching this, because you got to be able to read the subtitles, and some of them really go fast. So just let people know. Set aside time to really watch this, okay? And you can also miss a bunch of stuff if you're trying to do other stuff. Keep your eyes on the screen. But having said that, I also have to give this movie 5 stars. I think it's a great action movie. It's one of those things where it's like, a lot of people, they just kind of phone it in because it's action. It's like, oh, we can just have a bunch of explosions and people shooting guns and yelling expletives, and that's all we need. But no, the John McClane, I think, really took time to consider how to shoot this and all that kind of stuff. And so it's a wonderfully made film. It's not like very deep, but it is what it needs to be. It knows what kind of film it is, and it's just, I'm saying it would almost be a family film if it wasn't for all the killing. Because that's, it's 5 stars. 5 stars.
Awesome. I'm going to give it 4.8. I give it a 4.8.
Boo!
I know, I'm terrible. It's not a perfect movie, but it is a really good movie. So I give it a 4.8. I usually reserve 5 stars for movies that motivate, changed me in some way or motivate me to some degree. This film didn't motivate me to do anything. Thank goodness. I could go crazy on the chat and just start blowing stuff up. But it was a dope film. There's hands down, everything that about this film was awesome. It just didn't move me in an emotional, spiritual way or give me anything deep like that. I usually reserve 5 stars for something that does that, but who knows? Maybe one day, maybe if I watch it again. Nate has taught me that if you watch a movie sometimes more than 1 or 2 times, you can actually, your stars will go up sometimes, or they'll go down depending. So maybe I need to watch it a few more times. Maybe it'll go up to 5, And so anyway, those are my thoughts. Okay, with that said, BK apologies. You got anything going on? Anything coming out? How can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube. Just search for BK Apologist. And yes, tomorrow, no, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday, right? So yes. Wednesday, I'll be doing kind of like an addendum to the Christmas tree being pagan. I'm actually going to take an even deeper dive to show that it is not. And then on Thursday, I will be responding to a lesson from Napah Shada from the conscious community. I'll be accompanied with MJ Jackson. So, a lot of slides, a lot of sources. That's it.
Get ready for the sparks to fly.
Basically.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Family show.
All right. Michelle, where can people find you? Don't say on these YouTube streets. I'm just, okay, where can people
I
find
won't
you?
go say YouTube at all. Just the streets. I don't understand. YouTube wasn't even gonna be in there.
Just look
Just,
out your window and you're gonna see it just.
He's walking right
it
past you. in the streets.
Depends on what
Just gonna-
street you live on.
It's
Maybe.
gonna be.
That's right. Be you ready in season and out of season. So that's where you can find me. If you ain't on the streets, I don't know what to tell you. If you know, if you like BK, Nate, and Jordan, and y'all just want to be in the house, I don't know what to tell you. only pagans stay home. That's all I
Oh,
got.
wow.
Wow. Look
Oh,
at
my
this.
heart
Look at
doesn't
this.
hurt. All right, Nate. All right, Nate. Where can people find you, bro? You got anything coming up?
You can find me on all different kind of social media. I am I'm on YouTube, youtube.com/Nate3PO. Who knows? Maybe once we go on Reels break, I might try to put some stuff up or go live and just you can come and hang out with me. I am on Twitter at Nate3PO because somebody took at Nate2D2, you jerk. I'm also on Facebook at Nate2D2 as well. And lastly, I am on IG at Nate2D2. I'm trying to post more reels, so go ahead and follow me there because you'll be able to catch me posting reels where I am singing on the toilet. Yippee-ki-yay, monkey fighters.
I was that close to getting nervous. I was that close. I was like, he's gonna do it. He's gonna monkey fighters, dude. That is epic. That is epic. So of course you guys can find me here, of course, on Real Reviews, where we review film through a Christian lens. And of course, as you can see, we had a whole lot of fun doing it. And once Real Reviews is over, well, we have our little break. Just remember, go to my other channel, Servant of Christ Ministries. I'm going to be kicking off, I don't know if it's going to be the end of this year or the beginning of next year, the entire book of Galatians, verse by verse, chapter by chapter. We're going to break down the entire book so you guys can have that in video format. So make sure you guys subscribe.
Here comes the hate.
Yeah.
Every time he does this.
So make sure you guys go on Servant of Christ Ministries, go subscribe to the channel, get ready. And of course, I'm also working on another project. If you're a Patreon member, you already know what the project is and you got a little bit of insight and some extra clues. But make sure you guys go and subscribe and hey, become a Patreon member, help support the ministry and help me do more of this stuff so I can dedicate more time to doing it. All right. So with that said, God bless you guys. Take care, and we will see you at the movies. Peace.